When it comes to the Pocket Monsters franchise, I was one of many children who was completely drawn into the mystic craze in the late 90s and early 2000s. There wasn't a weekday or Saturday morning that went by without me sitting down in front of the television and connecting a trusty antenna to spend a half hour watching the 4Kids Pokemon show on my local Kids WB network. These days, we can all laugh at the ridiculous amount of plot holes and logical blunders, but at the time, I was enthralled to find out what kind of adventure Ash and friends would go on next, and would get so pissed at Team Rocket's shenanigans, even if I knew subconsciously that they would be defeated in the end. Naturally, this would transfer over into the world of video games. The very first piece of gaming I was ever fortunate to own as a child was a turquoise blue Game Boy Color. The very next day, I found myself exiting a Target with my first game, Pokemon Blue. Soon enough, I would own the red version and yellow version. These 3 games would be more than enough for me, as I spent a good portion of my free time on weekends grinding to become a Pokemon master. Until the Generation 2 games arrived on the Game Boy Color, the only other non-Pokemon related Game Boy game I remember owning was Toy Story 2. The less that's said about that game, the better. Anyhow, this is how engrossed I was into Pokemania, a Pikachu plushie, keychain-sized Pokeballs, the cool trading cards Burger King gave away during the theatrical release of the first movie, the original Pokédex, the VHS tapes, you name it. I was hooked. As a result, I never invested much time in any other Nintendo franchises on the Game Boy or Game Boy Color, thanks to these little critters. Therefore, I have no shame in saying that I am ridiculously biased towards the Generation 1 and Generation 2 games in regards to my favorite Pokemon gaming titles, and some of my favorite games in general. While I do believe Generation 3 was good and presented some of the coolest Pokemon in the franchise, for me, Generation 4 onwards has been on a scale of mediocre to, wait, that exists? And we're not even going to get into discussing Pokemon Go. No. Up until this year, I never considered the possibility of exploring different interpretations of these Pokemon games via ROM hacks. The Nuzlocking thing is also something I haven't gotten into. This may all change after earlier this year, on the 20-year mark of the original game being released no less, a couple of friends enlightened me to Pokemon Perfect Crystal, a ROM hack created by Superegz. What ensued was pure elation. My name is Aaron, and in this video, we shall take a general look at what this ROM has to offer and explore what makes this such a fantastic alternative to an all-time handheld classic. This is a tale of Pokemon Perfect Crystal. The first thing I was excited about when launching the ROM was how true to form the presentation is. The intro, visuals, music, text, options, and controls are untouched. The gender option that was monumental for us at the time as children is still here. You help awaken Professor Oak from his peaceful slumber by setting your game clock, and he welcomes you to the world of Pokemon. Oak goes on to let you know how badass he is for continuing to learn more about these little critters as a new generation begins. The amount of nostalgia I have for this beginning sequence is loco. Name yourself whatever you want, within the allotted letter limit, and Mom is here to give you your metal Poké Gear. The ROM also has this guy still hanging out in New Bartown, thankfully. I always get a kick out of this dude yelling, "Yo!" Insert name here. Classic. This is where we introduce our first upgrade, running shoes. Okay, you don't actually get running shoes like in Gen 3, but you are still able to run around by holding down the B button. Do you know how much I would have loved to have this back in 2001, especially in caves while using repels? What a fantastic addition. From here, it's straightforward if you played through Pokemon Crystal. Grab your Cyndaquil, go to Oak, get the Pokédex, fight your red-haired rival that you can name Dumbass later, and begin conquering the Johto region. Our next upgrade starts here in the Dark Cave. If you search around at night, there is a slight chance you will find more Cyndaquils. As a matter of fact, this ROM makes it possible to capture a ton of Pokemon that wouldn't have been in the original game during our Game Boy Color days. For the purposes of time, I'm only discussing a few of the Pokemon here in this video. For those interested, I'll leave a link in the description below for a full list of where to encounter them. For all of my fellow Ampharos fans, you now have access to Mareep on the same route he was always at before the Union Cave. Why these knuckleheads at Game Freak decided to discontinue access to this trio of Pokemon in the original Pokemon Crystal, I will never understand. Right past the Dark Cave and before Violet City is where you can find Chikorritas. Totodiles can be found much later on in the game after you obtain the Whirlpool HM in the Whirl Islands. Squirtle can be found in the Whirl Islands, while Bulbasaur is seen earlier in the Ilex Forest after Azalea Town, and Charmander are chillin' in the Burned Tower. You can even find the legendary Pokemon from Generation 1, the Mews and the Birds. Mewtwo is the only surefire find in his original resting place, the Cerulean City Cave. The rest are apparently as random as the legendary dogs. But it's still amazing to know that in the back of my mind, at any moment, they can pop up. Link cables? What the hell are those? Speaking of HMs, they are no longer the only infinite use moves in the game. Thanks to this beautiful ROM, TMs are also with you for life. This is especially useful for the punches from Goldenrod and the TMs you earn from gym leaders. And speaking of gym leaders, you can battle them as many times as you'd like after defeating them the first time. It's like the Elite Four battles, only with more opportunities to capitalize on specific types. This is an excellent way to quickly grind your Pokemon, as the gym battles naturally earn you more experience points than discount grinding in the wild. It's also a hilarious way to earn money fast. The sound of those Goldenrod slot machines is palpable as I continue to take copious amounts of Pokemon Gym Fund money. Imagine if we could do this in Gen 1. We wouldn't have needed the bike voucher in Cerulean, am I right? And purchasing this super amazing Slowpoke tail is mere child's play. But wait, it gets even better! Remember that pesky trade rule that was the only way for certain Pokemon to evolve like Kadabra, Haunter, and Graveler? With the help of our friend Perfect Crystal, we can now wield the power of the stones to forsake our link cables once more and make these Pokemon grow up. Kadabra will evolve into Alakazam using the Moonstone, Haunter will evolve into Gengar using the same stone, and Graveler will evolve into Golem using the Sunstone. With such an excellent opportunity to really catch them all, the real issue playing this version is choosing exactly who you want in your party. There are many excellent possibilities. As it stands, I have these trusty warriors alongside me to wreck them all at a moment's notice. It's so incredible to have both a Blastoise and Typhlosion in my party in an actual Generation 2 game, a dream that was never realized in my Game Boy Color days. As alluded to earlier, the order of tasks and events throughout Pokemon Perfect Crystal remain the same as the 2001 game. Everything from the Slowpoke tail incident in Azalea Town, to Claire being the biggest sore loser after your Pokemon kick her dragons in the face, boarding the SS Aqua to Kanto, and witnessing Cinnabar Island's reenactment of Pompeii. It's all included in its legendary form. And thanks to the trusty fast-forward technology included in the VBA, it's a breeze to get past the tedious moments of either looking for the wild Pokemon you want or getting through areas filled with wild Pokemon you don't want. I cannot put over this ROM enough. It is just as much of an incredible ride as the original game was back in 2001. I was definitely aware of many different Pokemon ROM hacks during my teen years. However, other than a couple based on the popular creepypastas like Lost Silver, I never played any others. As mentioned earlier, this is most likely due to a general indifference to the series once Generation 4 came into the picture. So you can only imagine my expectations once I decided to invest some time into Pokemon Perfect Crystal. After having lots of fun with the ROM and experiencing the adrenaline rush of nostalgia from a monumental portion of my childhood, I'm very happy to say that this has been well worth it. If you are as big of a fan of the second generation of Pokemon as I am, and you have not checked this out for yourself, it comes highly recommended. And Superegz, this fan thanks you for an incredible rendition of one of my favorite video games of all times.